So now that you know why your child does what they do, and you've chosen an alternative behavior that makes sense, you probably have the question that every parent gets stuck on. How do I actually get my child to use it? Parents tell their kids the right words to say, show them what to do, but in the heat of the moment, kids still scream, tantrum, or hit. Here's the truth. Alternative behaviors don't work just because you tell your child to do it. They only work when you teach them like a skill. Kids won't automatically swap all habits for new ones. They need practice, they need support, and they need reinforcement. And think about it. Imagine that you get a promotion, but it comes without teaching you your new role and responsibilities, and it also comes without better pay. Not much of a promotion, right? No support, no training, and no reinforcement for you. It is the same for your child. You need to teach them the new alternative behavior like a new skill. The same way you break down riding a bike or learning to read, you must break down and practice alternative behaviors step by step. The next step is to model and prompt. To make this skill easier to stick for your child, you want to model it for them as frequently as possible and with as many variations as possible. You can pretend to be getting their attention, pretend you are getting your spouse's attention, role play it, show them in videos, put pictures up to remind them. This will keep it top of mind for your child. Also, when you are practicing with your child, give them enough support so your child succeeds the first time. Then you can slowly remove your help, but it's important that initially they are successful with that skill. In the example of tapping your shoulder, you can prompt your child by physically assisting them to come to you and tap your shoulder for your attention, and then reinforce them for getting your attention, which is actually the last step, reinforcement. You want to make sure you are reinforcing and praising all of their effort and successes as fast and as frequently as possible. You can give praise, attention, or even tangible rewards when they try the alternative behavior. It's very important here to be consistent. Everyone in the family should reinforce that new behavior. In the example of tapping your shoulder, respond right away with praise and extra attention when your child does any of the manageable steps that you set for them. Now, why does this matter? Because without teaching, modeling, and reinforcement, kids are going to fall back to their old habits. You cannot expect them to just do it. With following these steps, instead, they learn faster, they feel more confident, and they build real life skills. Every time you teach and reinforce a behavior, you're showing your child this is the fastest and easiest way to get what you want. Really quickly, if you're finding this information useful, be sure to subscribe to our channel so we can continue to provide you with practical strategies to transform your home. Okay, so again, big concepts, one simple idea. To teach a skill, we need to break it down and reinforce the child for doing it. Here's what you can focus on this week. Pick one single alternative behavior. Do not try to teach too many at once. One at a time is best. Break it down into small, manageable steps and reinforce every attempt. Make it worth it for them to do it. Okay, let's go over some examples. I'm going to walk you through the entire process from knowing the reason, picking your alternative, to teaching that alternative. If you have not seen my previous 2 videos, I encourage you to watch them so these examples make sense in their entirety. Let's do it. All right, so here we go. Step 1, let's find the reason. To do that, we're gonna identify what happened before and after the behavior. So in this example, before the behavior, mom was on the phone. The behavior was that the child said, "Mommy, mommy, 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 mommy," right next to her while she was on the phone. And then after the behavior, what happened is that the mom stopped her conversation on the phone, looked at the child, and gave them attention. Okay, so what the child got out of that behavior of mommy, mommy, mommy was mom giving this child attention, right? Out of these 4 reasons, the reason is attention, is right here. The second step is to find an alternative behavior that is easier, faster, and that gives the child the same result. The alternative behavior could be a shoulder tap. Instead of saying, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, mommy," if you tap me on the shoulder, I'll give you attention, and it's easier, faster for you to do, and it's more appropriate, right? So the first question that we need to ask ourselves is, does this reason match the outcome? The outcome was attention, right? The child tapping on the mom's shoulder, give them attention. Yes. So the reason matches. Is it easier and faster than saying mommy, mommy, mommy? Probably. Easier and faster. And then now we have picked our alternative behavior, which is a shoulder tap. Now what we need to do is break it down. We need to break down the shoulder tap into small, manageable steps. What I came up with for the breakdown is, first, we need to stand up. Next, the child needs to come closer. then look at mom, and then tap on the shoulder. So we're going to teach each individual step one at a time. So the first thing that we would do is stand up. If the child learns fast, depending on how they go, then you can include all of them, but this is how you break it down. Then you're going to model. So as mom, you're going to be like, oh, so and so, tap shoulder. Go to your child and tap their shoulder. That is how you model that. And then you reinforce each step. So if you see your child doing any of these, you want to give them a lot of praise and a lot of attention, and make sure that you recognize and tell them that you want them to keep doing that more often. Let's go with example number 2. Before the behavior, the child was doing math homework. What happened when he was doing math homework was that child walked away, they slammed the door, they throw the materials on the ground. Okay, let's go to the next example. In the next example, the child was doing math homework prior to the behavior. It's what they were doing before. Then while they were doing homework, the child throws everything on the ground, walks away, and slams the door. What happened after the behavior is that the child was able to stay in his room for 15 minutes, and mom removed the homework. So basically, based on what happened before and after, what the child got was escape from the math homework, right? So we got escape. We didn't want to do that homework. We got away from it. What we need to do is find an alternative behavior that gives that child the same outcome. The child wants to stay away from that math homework. So what is an alternative behavior that will allow them to stay away from that math homework that is easier, faster? So what I put here was asking for a break, right? Next question is, does that match the reason? Would asking for a break keep them away from the math homework? The answer is yes. So does it match the reason? Yes, it does. Is it easier and faster than having to slam the door and run to your room and throw all the materials on the ground? Probably yes. So it is easier and faster. Now that we have an alternative behavior that we have picked, which is asking for a break, we need to break this down. Break it down into small, manageable steps. So I put, notice the feeling. So when you're doing math homework, maybe it is hard, maybe it is overwhelming, the child is feeling frustrated, mad, whatever it is, tired. If they notice that they are feeling a certain way, then that's a good alternative trigger to use communication and tell us, I need help or I need a break, give us a card. They don't even have to vocally communicate, but whatever alternative to the slamming the door. And then they can wait for a response, and then they can go into a break or go into a corner. You model it. So the way that you can model this is by saying, for example, man, I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm going to take a break. Or man, this is really tiring. I'm going to take a 5-minute break before I come back to this task. You model, and any time that you see your child engaging in any of these manageable steps, you want to reinforce them with a lot of praise, a lot of attention, taking the tasks that they don't want to do away. That is reinforcing to them, right? So allow them to, and letting them know that that is what you want to see more of in the future. Okay, so if there's one thing to take away from this video, is this: you're not just stopping a behavior, you're building a new skill. You're teaching your child how to communicate, how to cope, and how to connect. The more that you model and reinforce, the more likely that it is that your child will use these skills in the future. You now have the full toolkit. Understand the why, choose the what, and teach the how. That's how real behavior change happens. Be sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.